どうも、勝手に電力2.0に始めたいと思います。1130回目ということで、この IEA が出しているこのソーラーの結構記事っていうところをですね、いろいろ見ていきたいなと思っています。Solar PV still dominates. Solar PV becoming the largest in the world. Cumulative solar PV capacity almost tripled in our forecast, growing by almost 1,500 gigawatts over the period, exceeding natural gas by 2026 and coal by 2027. Annual solar PV capacity addition increased every year for the next 5 years. Despite current higher investment costs due to elevated commodity prices, utility-scale solar PV is the least costly option for new electricity generation in the significant majority of countries worldwide. Distributed solar PV, such as rooftop solar on buildings, is also set for faster growth as a result of higher retail electricity prices and growing policy support to help consumers save money on their every bills. ということで、Share of cumulative power capacity by technology 2010 to 2027ということで、まさに急激に、容量になってきますけど、キャパシティなので、実際にキロワットアワーではないんですけども、ガーッと伸びてきて、実はもう2027ぐらいには、石炭のこの最大の容量だけにはなって、キロワットアワーはまだまだ足りないと思いますけど、容量は大きくなってくるんじゃないかと言われてますと。Solar PV generation increased by a record 270 terawatt up to 26% in 2022, reaching almost 1,300 terawatt-hour. It demonstrated the largest absolute generation growth of all renewable technologies in 2022, surpassed wind for the first time in history. This generation growth rate matches the level envisaged from 2023 to 2030 in the net zero emissions by 2050 scenario. Continuous growth in the economic attractiveness of PV, massive development in the supply chain, and increasing policy support, especially in China, the United States, the European Union, and India, expected to further accelerate capacity growth in the coming years. The tracking status of solar PV has therefore been upgraded in 2023 from more effort needs to be on track. Maintaining the generation growth rate aligned with the net zero scenario will require reaching annual capacity additions that are close to 3 times higher than those of 2022 until 2030. Ambition and effort from both public and private stakeholders, especially in the area of grid integration and in addressing policy, regulation, and financing challenges. New ambitious policies and targets introduced in the biggest solar PV market will further accelerate capacity growth. Countries and regions making notable progress to advance solar PV include China continues to lead in the term of solar PV capacity additions with 100 gigawatts added in 2022, almost 60% more than in 2021. The 14th five-year plan for renewable energy released in 2022 provides ambitious targets for deployment, which should drive further capacity growth in the coming years. The European Union is accelerating solar PV deployment in response to the energy crisis, with 38 gigawatts added in 2022, a 50% increase compared to 2021. New policies and targets proposed in the RE Power EU plan and the Green Deal Industrial Plan are expected to be important drivers of solar PV investment in the coming years. The United States includes generous new funding for solar PV in the Inflation Reduction Act (IRA) introduced in 2022. Investment and production tax credits will give a significant boost to PV capacity and supply chain expansion. India installed 18 gigawatts of solar PV in 2022, almost 40% more than in 2021. A new target to increase PV capacity auctioned to 40 gigawatt annually, and the dynamic deployment of the domestic supply chain are expected to result in further acceleration in PV growth in the near future. Brazil added almost 11 gigawatts of solar PV capacity in 2022, doubling its 2021 growth. Deployment is expected to remain on this level in the middle term thanks to continuous demand for renewable energy from industry and electricity retailers. Solar PV electricity generation achieved another record increase in 2022, putting the technology on track with the 2030 milestones under the net zero scenario. Solar PV power generation in the net zero scenario 2015 to 2030ってことで、2030ではですね、ガーンとこれ見ると4倍2020年増えるだろうみたいなことになっています。Power generation from solar PV increased by a record 270 terawatt-hour in 2022, up by 26% on 2021. Solar PV accounted for 4.5% of total global electricity generation, and it remains the third largest renewable electricity technology behind hydropower and wind. 面白いですね。やっぱり 4.5% 相当でキロワットアワーもなっていくと。まさに水力と風力の次ぐらいにと。China was responsible for about 38% of solar PV generation growth in 2022, thanks to large capacity additions in 2021 and 2022. The second largest generation growth, a 17% share of the total, was recorded in the European Union, followed by the United States, 15%. Solar PV proved to be resilient in the face of supply chain bottlenecks, high commodity prices, and the increase in interest rates experienced in 2022, and achieved another record annual increase in capacity, 220 gigawatts. This should lead to further acceleration of electricity generation growth in 2023, reaching an annual solar PV generation level of approximately 8,300 terawatt-hour in 2030, in alignment with the net zero scenario, up from the current 1,300 terawatt-hour, will require annual average generation growth of around 26% during 2023 to 2030. This rate is similar to the expansion recorded in 2022, but maintaining this momentum as PV market growth will require continuous effort. Distributed systems play an increasingly important role in global solar PV deployment. Solar power capacity in the net zero scenario 2015 to 2030。まさにこのところで意味で、ソーラー PV トータルっていうのと、実際に出てくるのと、ユーティリティスケール。やっぱりユーティリティスケールのがまず多くなってきて、その次コマーシャル&インダストリアル。最後レジデンシャルっていうところになってくると。Utility scale plants were responsible for about half of global solar PV capacity addition in 2022. Followed by distributed capacity in the commercial and industrial 25% and residential 23% segments. The share of utility scale plants was at its lowest since 2012 as generous policy incentives drove record distributed PV capacity addition in China, Brazil, the United States, and the European Union in 2020-2021. In the context of high fuel and electricity prices in 2021 to 2022, distributed PV became an increasingly attractive alternative for many consumers, which has sparked investment. Utility scale systems are the cheapest source of electricity generation in the most part of the world. However, building large-scale installation is becoming increasingly challenging in many countries due to the lack of suitable sites and complicated permitting procedure, which favors small-scale rooftop PV systems. Continuous support for all PV segments will be needed for annual solar PV capacity addition to increase to about 800 gigawatts in order to reach the more than 6,000 gigawatts of total installed capacity in 2030. In research in the NZ3 scenario, distributed and utility scale PV need to be developed in parallel depending on each country's potential and needs. Solar PV manufacturing capacity expansion is well on track to exceed 2030 demand in the net zero scenario. Solar PV manufacturing capacity, according to announced projects, and in the net zero scenario 2015 to 2030 ということで、このPV ディマンドっていうの中の、実際にこのモジュールっていうところが、こうなってくると。で、the solar PV market is dominated by crystalline silicon technology, for which the production process consists of four main steps. 4つのステップ。production of high purity polysilicon ね。crystallization into ingots and silicon slicing into thin wafers. Production of PV cells, assembly of PV modules. In 2022, global solar PV manufacturing capacity increased by over 70% to reach 450 gigawatts for polysilicon and up to 640 gigawatts for modules, with China accounting for more than 95% of new facilities throughout the supply chain. According to investment announcements by manufacturer and the expected impact of industrial policies introduced in the United States IRA, India Production Linked Incentive, and the European Union, the Green Deal Industrial Plan, global capacity will more than double in the next 5 years. However, despite these efforts to geographically diversify the supply chain, announced projects indicate that China is likely to maintain its 80 to 95% share in solar PV manufacturing capacity in this period. While solar PV manufacturing capacity in 2030 is expected to be well above what is required to cover 2030 demand in the net zero scenario, greater efforts are needed to increase the resilience and geographic diversification of the supply chain. Crystalline silicon remains the dominant PV technology, with new, more efficient design expanding their market shares. Crystalline polysilicon remains the dominant technology for PV modules, with a market share of more than 97%. Various different types of and cells are used for crystalline polysilicon solar, where some more efficient than others. The shift to more efficient monocrystalline wafers accelerated in wafers in 2022, with the technology capturing almost all crystalline PV production. In parallel, a more efficient cell design, passive emitter and rear cell park is also expanding its dominance with almost 60% market share. Other new, even higher efficiency cell designs using technology such as TOPC on heterojunction and back contact also saw expanded commercial production and captured about 35% of the market in 2022. Strong policy support for solar PV is driving the acceleration in capacity growth. Policy support remains a principal driver of solar PV deployment in the majority of the world. Various types of policy are behind the capacity growth, including auctions, feed-in tariffs, net metering, and contracts for difference. The following important policy and target changes affecting solar PV growth have been implemented in the past couple of years. China published its 14th five-year plan for renewable energy in June. 3% of electricity generation to come from renewables by 2025, up from about 29 in 2021, including an 18 target for wind and solar technology. In August 2022, the federal reached significantly expanded support for energy in the next 10 years through tax credit and other measures. In May 2022, the European Commission proposed to increase the European Union's renewable energy target for 30 to 45% of left on the EU plan, which would require 30 gigawatts of total, including European have already expanded. India announced new 2030 targets of 500 gigawatts of total non-fossil power capacity and 50% renewable electricity generation share, more than double the 22% share in 2020, as well as net zero emissions by 2070, with solar PV being one of the main technologies used to achieve these goals. In 2022, solar PV further strengthened its leading position as a power generation technology with the most investment. Global solar PV investments in capacity additions increased by over 20% in 2022 and surpassed USD 320 billion, marking another record year. Solar PV comprised almost 45% of total global electricity generation investment in 2022, triple the spending on all fossil fuel technologies collectively. Investment in PV is expected to grow further in the coming years thanks to ambitious government targets, policy support, and increasing competitiveness. Many global and bilateral collaboration initiatives are advancing technological development and policy support for solar PV beyond global renewable energy initiatives that include solar PV, seed renewables. There are numerous international organizations, collaboration programs, groups, and initiatives aimed specifically at accelerating solar PV growth around the world, such as the IEA Photovoltaic Power System Technology Collaboration Program, which advocates for solar PV energy as a cornerstone of the transition to sustainable energy systems. It conducts various collaborative projects relevant to solar PV technologies and systems to reduce cost, analyze barriers, and raise awareness of PV electricity potential. The International Solar Alliance, which is a treaty-based intergovernmental organization that provides a platform to promote solar energy across 86 countries in a safe, affordable, sustainable, and equitable manner. Solar PV is the main renewable technology of choice in the private sector. The private sector's main activity in solar PV deployment can be divided into two categories. Companies investing in distributed, including rooftop, solar PV installations on their own buildings and premises, responsible for 26% of total installed PV capacity as of 2022. Companies entering into corporate power purchase agreement (PPAs), signing direct contract with solar PV plants operators or for the purchase of generated electricity. Solar PV plants dominate renewables PPAs with a share of almost 70% in 2022. That's all. Thank you.